The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, everybody, welcome to this week's webinar with One Resource Group. This is Jacob Locke, Director of Marketing here. Appreciate everybody hopping on here. As you all know, this month we're focusing on Instant Decision Life Insurance, our Integrity for Life platform, and other products within the industry. I have with me on the call here our South Life region specialist, Patrick Wright. Pat's been in the industry for probably longer than I've been alive. He's a great guy. He's going to go over some of the products outside of the Integrity for Life platform as I'll dive into the Integrity for Life platform, and then how you can truly leverage instant decision life insurance, via different marketing platforms and strategies, which is fun. So, Pat, if you want to do a little intro for yourself, and we'll hop on into the products.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Jake. Like you said before, my name is Patrick Wright, South Region Life Specialist here at One Resource Group. I've been doing life insurance finance. I've been in the financial world probably for about close to 25 years now. So yes, older than you, Jake.
It is.
So yeah, no, I appreciate the invite here, and really just reviewing a few different ways here that, as opposed to kind of the Integrity for Life, which is a little bit more customer-facing platform. These couple of options here through Symetra and also Lincoln are going to give you a little bit more agent-facing, but they are also expedited or fast-moving processes, which kind of align with the instant issue or the Integrity for Life that Jake is wanting to work on here.
Yeah.
First one here is Symetra Swift Term. I apologize, Jake. First one here is really the Symetra Swift Term here. Some of the highlights here: fast, hassle-free online application. The application does really only take about 25, 30 minutes or so, and most of that information and time is going to be on the client's piece there. Flexibility. The nice thing about this Symetra Swift Term product as well is not only is it fast, but it also gives you options down the road as well. You will have conversion options for up to the first 10 years to any of their product portfolio, up to 8 years on their 10-year, and 10 years on the 15, 20, and 30-year product as well. Obviously, a lot of the different points here on this is going to be for family protection, legacy, maybe if you're buying a business or whatnot, and you've got taxes that you're worried about passing on to the family when it transfers. Obviously, a great option for that as well. Jake, if you want to hit on the next page here as well.
Yeah.
So the Swift Term process, it talks a lot about the application. I'll just kind of go from my own experience on this here. Really from the agent piece, Symetra Swift Term is going to place usually in probably the top 3 of lowest cost carriers. That goes up there with the Banners, the Protectives, those type of things. But it has a lot of great options. Number one, the first option is the instant approval. That does have about a 25 to 30% instant approval option, depending on the way the application is filled out, as well as MIB and information from the background that they do check. So that is a strong option here, and compared to the Integrity for Life. If you're looking for something a little bit more hands-on with a little bit more conversion options, this is a great resource. This is the one that I kind of rely on as well personally. As far as the coverages that it offers here as well, it does go up to $3 million. It'll go 10, 15, and 20 year all the way up to age 60, and the 30 year up to age 50. So it's got quite a few options here that it offers as far as to your clients, as different dollar amounts, and really a pretty strong amount as far as a high amount of being 3 million. So really the process, it only takes about 5 minutes. You do have to be pre-appointed at Symetra due to the instant approval possibility on this. But that only takes probably a few days, and if you've got a case pending, I know they'll expedite that as well. But really from there, the client is sent an email where they'll go into that email and really fill out their medical portion, the piece of the application that's pertinent to them, and usually takes about 20 to 25 minutes or so on the client piece for it. There's going to be 3 things that'll happen essentially after that gets sent in. First one is the possibility of instant approval. Sometimes clients will actually fill that information out, and within just a couple of minutes or so, boom, they'll get an instant approval. They'll give a spot where they can put in their payment, and really the policy is done at that point. So very fast moving. Second option here is no labs, where it's got there's something maybe that they see within it that they need a set of eyes to actually kind of review it. So that will go into more of a case manager where they'll kind of review the file. They may have a few questions for the client, and they'll reach out and send an email directly to them asking those questions. That's really about 70% of the time. So essentially, it takes about a week and a half or so on average if a underwriter does have to look at it. So like I was saying here before, about 70% of the time, there's no labs, no APSs, nothing drawn, typically done within about 2 weeks. So it's pretty seamless process. The other 30% of the time is obviously if you've got a client who's got maybe a medical history, some different things that they're a little bit worried about, they do need to have labs drawn, then you go through the regular insurance process, which most of you are probably familiar with at that point. So a lot of good things really that the Semestra offers. It's a very easy, straightforward way to do kind of some of your low-hanging fruit, lower dollar amounts here or under $3 million, and a way you can kind of expedite that business and kind of move forward and give you more time working on things that you want to work on, as well as being one of the most competitive in cost comparison out there among carriers that are fully underwritten. So very strong product, very strong product. Jake, do you want to move on to the Lincoln piece, or did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
No, Pat. I mean, I think it's great. Like you said, if the agent is having agent or advisor is having a more hands-on experience with the client, I think Symetra is definitely a great option. But no, by all means, go ahead with the Lincoln, Wealth Accelerate piece.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Lincoln Wealth Accelerate, typically on your cash accumulation cases, your IULs, permanent policies, there is usually a little bit longer process in the underwriting. The instant approval, or excuse me, the accelerated options are usually somewhere in the 20 to 30% range. So it's tough to get some of your smaller cases through a little bit faster and a little bit more streamlined. And this is really where Lincoln came up with this product here called the Wealth Accelerate IUL. As it mentions here, it's basically for ages 20 to 55. Face amounts anywhere from 100,000 up to 1.5 million. Online application process, lab-free consideration for all preferred and some standard rates. Real time, basically with clients being approved lab-free. No EPSs are ever going to be ordered on these type of policies. If you're familiar with the Lincoln term policies, and they've got a term Excel and also a life element on the term side, this is very similar to that same type of process. If you have somebody in pretty good health, you're talking about a dollar amount or a face amount under 1.5 million. This is ultimately the way to go because 65% of the time you're not going to have any kind of labs drawn on the case, and really it's only about 30% of the time where they offer 35% where they do have to draw labs, and they will never order APSs. So this is really a cash accumulation model that's built for a streamlined process, which is unique within the industry that we work in. I know I've had a number of personal clients as well as agents with clients that are looking to do $100,000 to $200,000 LIRP strategies or life insurance and retirement strategies, but the process sometimes is a little bit daunting for them. They're not quite understanding the overview of the actual policy itself, so it's very time consuming. And this is a way really you can kind of save a lot of time in that aspect. I'm going to go to the next page there for me, Jake. Talks a little bit on the target market on the right-hand side. Household incomes between 75 and 250,000 is typically what the target market was when Lincoln was doing their back testing on this. Investable assets between 100 and 500,000. Average covered face amounts are usually below 500,000. Dual income, middle class households. And again, looking for an easier way to buy an IUL or get into an IUL with that cash accumulation available to them. So this is really, like I said, something here. If you've got some clients, you're really trying to, if you've had some bad experiences with some carriers, essentially, as they're going through this process, this would be actually the best way to go. Again, if you've got some clients who've got some a little bit more maybe substandard rating on health, this is not the option you're going to want to go to, because if it does drop below that standard, or if they do have to do an extensive amount, it will be declined, and they'll actually send it back to the agent to input for a full application using their alternate products they offer for the wealth accumulation on it. So it's just something to keep in mind. It's really for some of your younger clients, like they had mentioned, 20 to 55. I'd probably keep it a little bit more, 20 to 50, somewhere in that range is usually the best outcome that I've seen with the agents that I've worked on these type of cases for. If you have any questions, obviously you can kind of send any questions directly into Jake. He'll shoot those over to me and be more than happy to kind of review any of those. But really, in a nutshell, that's kind of two of the really kind of express ways to write life insurance, whether that be on the term side or even on the IUL with some accumulation options to it as well. So
Yeah.
hopefully that was helpful. And Jake, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Pat. And it looks like we have a question here in regards to the accumulation piece with this product. How does it stack up to other accumulation products you're seeing in the market? I know this is more of an instant decision accelerated underwriting product. Person's curious, how the accumulation stacks up to what you've been seeing.
So when I compared this really to their primary product here, essentially on their IUL, as far as their accumulation IUL, I saw probably about a 1% to 2% difference in cash accumulation in year 20 versus the one that it did not. So you don't see too much of a difference. There is a little bit, probably a little bit higher cost because obviously when you're going into an accelerated type program, they're not able to capture, or through time they've noticed they weren't able to capture most everything. So there is a little bit more higher charges to it. So they have to factor that into the mortality charges. But when I did my back testing on it, it was really about 1% to 2%, and that varied between ranges between ages 30 and 55. So really not much of a fall off here for being able to kind of get these expedited and through a little bit quicker.
Yeah, no, that's great. I appreciate you answering that. And yeah, and especially, at least from my perspective, for any agents or advisors that, are using, money to market on social media platforms and they need these, cases to turn over quickly to, get their return on ad spend and, make a profit within the first couple months of spending that money. I think this permanent product's an excellent choice for it. I mean, like you said, I mean, if you can get a permanent product done in under, 2-3 weeks, I mean, it's a home run in my opinion.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's really the way these are geared. That's exactly you mentioned exactly kind of the way these products are geared for that. So
Cool. Awesome, man. We'll segue into sort of the second part of this webinar, which is our Integrity for Life platform. As you all know, we love it. We have hundreds on hundreds, we might even be close to thousands of agents being on this platform. And I want to go over the platform briefly. I know you've all heard me talk about it a million times, and then we can segue into how can you actually leverage the instant decision carriers on the platform, and what's the most effective way to do it. So a couple bullet points here are easy. You all know with Integrity for Life, you get your own link. It makes it look like you built the platform. You have your logo, your colors, your bullet points, your hero image. It's truly your platform. When they go through, they don't see One Resource Group, they don't see Consumer Optics, they don't see anybody but you. The idea is that the clients click your link, they go through, they get their quote, they click apply now, and their policy is put in force. And you could be laying in bed 10 o'clock at night and you get a notification that an application's been submitted. I can attest to it. I put a lot of effort and resources into marketing my link, and that happens. It feels like dang near every night you get a new application that Joe Smith out in Kansas, $500,000 in term for 20 years, just submitted. I didn't have to do anything. Third bullet point here goes through. Client gets life insurance, you're getting paid. You don't even have to talk to. So this is how we segue it different. Where Pat's talking about maybe the more hands-on approach with the Symetra product, the Lincoln product. But the beauty of Integrity for Life is you can be completely hands-free. I mean, you have to market it, but I mean, if you do it effectively, you quite literally don't have to put a lot of time or money into it. The guy that we had build this webinar out for us has a good picture over here. Selling life insurance, it's nice. People selling life insurance for you is better. Use Integrity for Life. It's game changing. It's the final image there, but I think it does represent the capabilities of the platform. And I want to go through my process and what's working for me with the platform, so you can ultimately do it yourself. We have 4 carriers on here. We have Banner's great, SBLI, Assurity, and then the mortgage and income protection product with Western and Southern. That Western and Southern product is super interesting. Pays out a monthly death benefit, costs 20 to 40% less than your typical level term because it is a decreasing term. which is neat. To hint on some facts on what we've been seeing with Banner over the past 12 to 16 months, I believe the stat is, it's 30 to 35% of policies are going through as an instant decision, same day, next day, and then the next 40% or 50% is within 2 to 3 days, and then the remainder is fully underwritten, which is fine, because I always tell agents and advisors, whether it's a $500,000 term, a $5 million term, you're waking up and either A, it's been submitted, or B, it's been put in force. And I'll take either scenario. If I have to contact the client a few times to service their exam, make sure everything's going well, I'll do that all day long, because I didn't have to spend any time having to go through and fill out the application, get this info, get this info. It's really a neat and robust way to approach it. To where this strikes the question: how can you leverage instant decision life insurance, and what am I doing myself? Those of you that joined the webinar, I believe it was last week, over social media marketing, it gave you an idea how to go about it. I want to give some more details and explain it, especially, like I said, if you're spending money on advertising and you're marketing permanent life insurance, look at the Lincoln product, use Integrity for Life. Maybe Symetra is a better fit. So, I'm beating a dead horse here because you've all heard me say this, but there's 4 different ways that you can leverage it. Number 1 being social media marketing, number 2, email marketing, 3, website, 4, video content. Gave an example right here in the middle. Here's a simple Google ad that I run to get people to click, get a free quote, and go to my Integrity for Life link. I mean, it feels like every other day I get at least 1 or 2 hits, and that's being truthful. It doesn't need to be overcomplicated. You do that. Over here, you see, here's a screenshot of me doing an advertisement for an IUL. This video right here, is a guy out in California reached out, said, Jacob, I want to explore some options for an IUL. I want some accumulation, and it's going to end up being just close of a $20,000 deal. And that's not the boast or anything, but that just comes from finding different angles to play. So, to start with social media marketing, I mean, you have to have some presence. We went over what, the difference between organic, paid for. I promise you, if you put a few dollars into into say a Google ad, and you want to link your Integrity for Life link to it, it's going to work. Reach out to me on how to get started. Email marketing, the same way. Craft together a simple email that illustrates, hey, say you're a PNC agent. Hey, appreciate the business that you've done with me in the past. If you're looking for term life insurance and you want to do it the easiest way possible, click this link. Just easy stuff like this. And, I try to tell, our agents and advisors over and over again, it doesn't need to be complicated. Just do these simple steps in an email. Make sure you even have a website that has, instant decision term on it. People randomly on Google click on your website, see that, they go and apply, and you don't even have to do anything because you have the presence there. And lastly, video content. You have to have some form of it. Have a screenshot up here. I do IUL videos, do annuity videos, and then I even do term videos. Hey, if you're looking for term life insurance and you want, an affordable rate, and you don't even want, to talk to me, as bad as that sounds, click the link in the description. It's really that easy. And I'll show you here, what's my process. So it's simple. 1, I want to generate the lead. So I got to figure out what social platforms I'm going to market on. 2, when I get the lead, I'm going to call them, be like, hey, Pat, just noticed you put in some info. You're looking for, it looks like a 20-year, $2 million term. Did you want to get an idea what the cost looks like for that? Pat says, yeah, of course. That's why I did it. I give them the number. We 3 find an agreement. And then the beauty with Integrity for Life and Integrity for Life is I tell people there's 2 different ways you can approach it. 1, it can be a completely passive sale that you never touch the client. It goes through, it's great. But on the same side, if you do this where you generate a lead, you call on them, you find an agreement, you can ask them the questions. The 4 simple questions after you find the price. Say you're going with Banner, all you got to answer is, hey, Pat, what's your address I can put down for this? What's your height and weight? Looks like I'm going to need your last 4 of your social just to get it over to the carrier. And the last one is, do you work? past that, and once you hit submit for that, it goes over the Banner's website. You drop off, client gets an email to finish their application, and I can promise you, probably 80% of the time, I never talk to the client again. So bad as that sounds, they go through, they fill out the application, they do their exam if necessary, and I get an email, whenever saying, "Hey Jacob, Pat's policy just went through, we got approved as applied. Let me know if I can release the offer." I say, "Yep," and it's done. So it really is that simple. It's just a matter of, and I hope you guys really understand this process, because it's super easy, especially if you want to make a presence more felt with digital sales. I love doing it this way. This has been my phrase the past few weeks. It doesn't need to be difficult. So we'll swing over here. I'm pretty sure that's it. Pat, I appreciate you hopping on here. I'm going to open up to questions, whether if it's over the Symetra product, the Lincoln product, Integrity for Life. If you don't have a link, reach out to me. My email's here, right here, jacob.lock@orcorp.com. I'd be more than happy to help out. But yeah, let's open it up to questions. And Pat, if you have anything you want to add to Integrity for Life, I know you talk about it dang near every day as well. Please add any comments that you feel would be necessary.
No, you did a great job. I mean, it's really a turnkey type setup that you've got on the product that you're working with there. With you as basically the background and being able to kind of assist a lot of people, showing them how it works, how to do the marketing piece on it. It's really kind of turnkey. I mean, like I said, couldn't kind of done a better job than what you did. So
Cool. Appreciate that, Pat. We got a question here. Is the platform fully customizable? Yeah, yes, it is. You can quite literally the whole 9 yards. When you get a login, you'll see all the customization aspects. You can select what carriers you want to show, what states. Really, I mean, our partners at Consumer Optics has done a fantastic job on this. As far as tech goes, I mean, you can't get much better than that. And I get a question dang near every day. What's the difference between you guys and Ethos? And one of the big points is the customization. When you get your Ethos link or whatever you get, you see Ethos everywhere. It's almost an Ethos ad. Whereas with this, it's fully branded to the agent, and we like to say it's broker centric. So, what is the best carrier for an instant approval without an exam? Pat, I'll get my answer. I want to hear from you as well. I mean, with Banner, and I submit a lot of Banner business. They've actually been pretty good to deal with myself. I haven't ran into that many hiccups with them. And Pat, you may have a different answer. I don't deal with Symetra as much as you do, but I will say Banner's not the worst option in the world when it comes to instant decision. But Pat, I'll let you answer that too.
yeah, I mean, to be quite frank, both carriers are very similar in underwriting. Obviously we've got a few carriers that are a little bit more flexible. None that really are offered within this platform, just due to them not having a product built like these. But as far as flexibility in underwriting, really SwiftTerm and Banner are very, very similar. From my experience, as far as instant approval goes, typically the Integrity for Life, actually Banner, is probably given some of the highest instant approvals on the term side over really any other carrier we have for now. Symetra is not too far behind. I'd say the only benefit on the Symetra product over that is, the other 35% of the time you're still not having labs drawn, and you're still able to get a case done in a couple of weeks rather than 30 to 60 days like an average time frame would be. But I mean, as far as instant approval, I would definitely probably lean towards Banner.
Yeah, appreciate that, Pat. Looks like we have a question over the Lincoln product. Says a couple of my clients have been declined by Mutual Omaha with client. It says with clients not in agreement. Please restate basics of the Lincoln IUL.
Basics of the Lincoln IUL is it's a streamline IUL function. 65% of the time, they do not require labs, and the other 35% of the time, obviously they would, but no APSs are drawn on those. Now, I will say, obviously your client's got to be in pretty good health or decent health, where you're looking at standard or better possibly for them. If they've got type 2, or if they've got diabetes, they've got a medical history of some sort, it may not be the best path to go. because if there are APSs needed, which many of those cases would require APSs for those carriers to review, you know, it would not necessarily be an end-all be-all if you have some unhealthy clients. Really, as far as the decline on Mutual of Omaha, it just depends on what the illness or the medical issue was with them. If you've got specific medical issues on clients and you're with them, don't hesitate to reach directly out to your specialist within your region. Obviously, I work at the South Regional, Fifth Third as well. But don't hesitate to reach out to your specialist. We have an in-house underwriter who's been basically director of underwriting for places like Mass Mutual, Lincoln for 20 plus years. So we can at least give you an idea of where we're going to be sitting as far as an estimated rating, as well as the best carrier for it in that case. So just some things to keep in mind.
Appreciate that, Pat.
Yeah.
We have another question with the Lincoln product. And I guess before I ask this question, what would you say are some of the knockout type scenarios for that product?
Essentially cancer, diabetes. If you've got any criminal history as far as drugs, 2 DUIs within 5 years, these can be basically non-starters at that point. So, before you put in your Wealth Accumulate app or anything of that nature, again, like always, I would communicate with your specialist here at One Resource Group who you work with. They're going to be able to give you the best direction on which way to go in carrier based on your client's medical history and what they're truly looking to see, and really giving you those kind of options. Hey, we could go this direction based on what you're telling me, or this, and we'll give you the steps of what you're going to have to take to go through those as well.
Cool. Thank you, Pat.
And then kind of really leave that up to you to make that decision. Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. That Lincoln question right here says, with the Lincoln Wealth Accelerate benefits rider, is hospice one of the covered services?
I apologize. What was that question again?
It says, with the Lincoln Wealth Accelerate rider, is hospice one of the covered services?
I would have to double check on that. Hospice, I mean, typically the accidental death benefit riders or whatnot, or chronic illness riders built within those policies are usually built within a not able to do 2 of the 6 ADLs or severe cognitive impairment. Typically, when you're in hospice, you could or you could not maybe possibly have some of those things. So it would really depend. I'd have to really kind of double check on that. I mean, from the get-go, if they don't qualify for any of those 6, as well as cognitive, I would say probably no. It would not qualify for it. But I could get some information on that and just double check. Jake, if you want to get the rep's name, I can kind of reach back out to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Man, we have quite a bit of questions here, Pat. We must have done something right. It looks like here, can consumers engage with Integrity for Life on their phone? Is it mobile friendly? Is it a lengthy experience? I mean, I can speak on this. I actually have a funny story. One, to answer the question, yes, Integrity for Life is very much so mobile friendly. I actually like interacting with it on my phone rather than a laptop, and that's not to say the desktop experience is any different, but it really is mobile friendly. I mean, we were at our holiday party at Sycamore this past winter, and I saw a lead come through from one of my campaigns, and I texted the guy, and we figured out the number, and I just submitted his application on my phone. I mean, it really is that simple. It took 5 minutes, pulled it up, and just like that. So yes, to answer the question, very mobile friendly, especially if you're on the go and a client's ready to go forward. Do those 4 steps that I mentioned earlier. Get the lead, figure out what they want, answer those 4 questions, and get it submitted. So yes. Speaking of Symetra, do they offer IUL on their platform? My sound cut out for a minute during that portion. You want to answer that?
Yeah, Symetra, as far as if you're looking at instant approval on their IULs, I will say if you do they do approve up to $1 million if you are approved through the Swift term on the IUL side. So there is a correlation to it. You can't specifically, at this point, though I've been told Symetra is working on something, at this point you can't just request an IUL. From what I understand, though, you can go ahead and, I know you can go in, and as you're approved for the term life insurance, they will offer an IUL at the same rating of up to $1 million. So it is kind of a backdoor way to do it. but you can't specifically go in directly and order just the IUL for an application and get the instant approval. If you do get it on the backside on the term, they will offer a follow-up IUL for the same dollar amount or less with that same rating, up to $1 million.
Cool. Awesome, man. Looks like we have 2 or 3 questions left, and we'll get close to wrapping it up here. It says, is conversion available for the Lincoln product?
The Lincoln product is a IUL. So on a permanent policy, there's not going to be anything else you can convert that policy to. Conversions are only going to be available for term products.
Yeah, just wanted to get that out there. Appreciate that. It says, does Integrity for Life use, it looks like Milliman IntelliScripts? I'm not sure. Pat, do you know anything on that, or?
What was the question again? I apologize.
It says, does Integrity for Life use Milliman IntelliScript? I'm trying to look it up here. I'm not sure. I'll talk to our tech guys over at Consumer Optics. As far as I'm aware, I don't think so. I can definitely answer that for you.
Yeah, I'm not real familiar with it. I apologize.
No, that's all right. And then it says, I think this is back to the moo question earlier. One client was determined tobacco rate. We are challenging the decision. It's been 13 plus years for her. I guess just more of a statement. Would that be a problem with that Lincoln product if they were, it's been 13 years since she's had any tobacco? Do you think they would look at that as an issue, or do you think it would go through pretty smoothly?
I think you'd still be able to go through pretty smoothly. If it's been 13 years, typical rule of thumb is over 12 months with no nicotine or tobacco use at all. You should be available for up to standard rating. Now, depending on the carrier, if you want to get up to a preferred rating, carriers will basically waver between probably 2 and 3 years of no tobacco before that's available. But again, that does depend on the carrier at that point.
Awesome, man. All right, we'll take one more minute here. Any last round of questions? There's one right here. It says, is backdating available on the Lincoln product?
Yes, any new product, as long as it's not a conversion, backdating would be available with it.
Cool. Awesome. All right, it looks like that's it for questions. I appreciate everybody hopping on here. I mean, if I'd have to leave with anything, I don't know if I can go back on my screen here, but figure out a way to, do this process. I promise it'll work. It's super simple. But past that, Pat, I know you're busy. I really do appreciate you hopping on the call here and talking about that Lincoln product and Symetra. This has been a blast. Any last remarks before we hop off here?
No. One of the main things I always tell people are the agents and the advisors we work with. If you have questions about a process, about a product, about a concept, reach out to your internals here at One Resource Group. We've got tons of knowledge on quite a few different ways that we can actually work a case. It's not all cut and dry. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. That's what we're here for, to tell you about some of the little and unforeseen things that we know about the business that can assist you in your business. So.
Absolutely. That's been a blast. Well, I appreciate everybody hopping on to this week's webinar. Next week, this same time, we'll be talking about, why you need to incorporate Integrity for Life into your practice. But Pat, appreciate your time. This has been a blast, man. Appreciate everybody hopping on. There will be a recording sent out later today. If anybody has any questions, feel free to email me or your internal here, and we'll be more than happy to help. I hope everybody has a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake.